Today I want to tell you the story of how I broke an NSA chief's back in a fight. So literally every time I saw him after this fight, he was in a wheelchair. Okay, he had to take early retirement for disability from his beloved NSA job. And this was his identity, this NSA job. He was in constant pain, and it was so bad that he couldn't work anymore. A lot of days he couldn't get out of bed. He couldn't even sit at his desk. His pain was so terrible. And later he confronted me with a gun and demanded to know if I had intended to break his back during that fight. Which, no, I didn't intend to break his back in that fight. But he was like 375 pounds, maybe 400. And I was 140 pounds. And he just kept coming. And there were 5 people simultaneously attacked, 6 people attacking me. 5 of them had handguns, including him, and the 6th had a knife. I beat the shit out of all of them, every single one of them. Okay, and this guy, I broke his back. So there's a moral to this story. This man, and if he's listening, because they watch, this man would not repent of his wickedness. Even after his back was broken, and he was put into a wheelchair to live out the rest of his life in constantly increasing pain. This is what God calls a stiff-necked person. And in the Bible, the Jews, the Israel, the tribe of Israel, ended up 40 years in the desert because they would not repent. God kept correcting them and correcting them and correcting them, but they would not repent. And so God sent them 40 years into the desert instead of giving them the promised land. Okay, so Mr. NSA Chief, if you're watching this video, know that all you need to do to be healed is to repent. Give me what you stole from me, make it right, and you will be healed and forgiven. So how did I end up in a fight with this NSA guy and 5 other people? All of them had guns, and one guy had a large knife. Well, in 1987, I went to live in a house with 3 other guys. They were all around college age in Beltsville, Maryland. Okay, so 4 guys sharing a house. I'm one of those 4. 2 of those guys worked for the NSA. This was in Beltsville, Maryland, and the NSA was just north of there in Columbia. Okay, one of them took an interest in me. They searched their extensive databases, and they found out I had a 1500 SAT. I had the 2nd highest ASVAB in the country in 1982. And they also found out that I had a warrant out for my arrest in California, a place I had never set foot in my entire life. So they asked me about the warrant. So I explained, well, I made a movie. I hustled and I got a contact out in California. This guy brought me to the attention of the famous Shem Steinberg, and he offered me a job as 3rd assistant director on this movie that became a huge blockbuster that was filmed in Germany. Anyway, and I can't tell you the name of the movie, but this guy is like the biggest director ever, and his daughter he has an adopted black daughter, and she just announced her porn career, and I tried to watch the video, and just out of curiosity, but I couldn't even watch the video. It was so awful. His computer chief came over. Okay, so these guys were computer guys. They were white hat hackers. And I didn't even own a computer at this point. This is before normal people had computers. Only geeky people had computers. And these 2 guys were pretty geeky. So anyway, his computer chief came over, and they worked directly for him at the NSA. And so he came by the house, and he was like super friendly to me, really friendly. And he offered me a job. And he told me that I could work directly for him. And he started asking me questions, was I interested in computers? I'm like, sure. I didn't even own a computer. Okay, now computers are really cool, really whiz-bang. And if I was born 5 years later, I probably would have gotten into computers because they're amazing. Okay, but at the time, we just had dial-up. Okay, we would have dial-up for another 5 or even 10 years. He told me he knew all about me. He knew everything about me because they're the frickin' NSA. He told me he'd give me a full free ride to college. And then I told him about the trust that my father and mother had stolen from me and that was to pay for my college. He went, and a few days later, he passed on the message to me that he found the trust. He found the trust document in the will, and he would give that to me as well when I applied. I'm like, great. And he would also take care of this fake warrant out in California, because what happened? Shem Steinberg is such a nasty asshole that because I didn't come work for him and it's not my fault, he decided to ruin my whole life. And he's still like this. Okay, he confronted me in 2010 to try to stop me from retiring. And he brought 100 people. Oh my God, it's crazy. That man is crazy. Shem Steinberg is crazy. That warrant, I'd never been to California, didn't do anything to Shem Steinberg except not come to work for him, as his new protege, which I would have loved to do, and I kept trying to do, and they left a ticket for me at the airport, but I kept being attacked, and I couldn't even get to the airport. And I quit my job like 3 times, and they kept kidnapping me and taking me back to my job that I quit, and they wouldn't let me quit, which this actually happened at my last workplace. I think I tried to quit every job I ever had, and they wouldn't let me quit. So anyway, this fake warrant, because I worked for the government, he planned this carefully, Shem Steinberg. It would pop up on every nationwide record search for the rest of my life, and I would never be able to work for the government again. And this did come up when I went for my first job after college. And I made a video on that. There were 4 people in the room. 3 of them, I cursed them, and 3 of them died of brain tumor. And Shem Steinberg himself, I think it's pancreatic cancer, has like a 99% kill rate, and that evil weed didn't die. Okay, so I said, yes, of course, thank you. I would love to come work for you. Where do I apply? What's the job? And he's like, they're all so weird, because this has happened to me over and over and over. He wouldn't tell me his name, and he wouldn't give me any way to contact. And they're always like this. Okay, the next was Secret Service. After that was FBI. They will never tell you their name, and they won't give you any way to call them. They call you on a blocked line. So anyway, he says the job announcement will come out in a few days. Make sure you apply. I'm like, okay, I will, because this guy is literally saving my life. It's the whole package, and the job goes all the way up to a GS-15. I don't know if you know anything about the government. That's pretty sweet, man. That's about as sweet as it gets. And I did not make it to GS-15 in my federal service. I made it only to GS-14. Okay, so right out of the gate, this guy was offering me a job that would go all the way up to GS-15. He was going to pay for all my school. He was going to get me my trust that was stolen, and he was going to get rid of that warrant for my rent. I mean, who's going to say no to that? So what happened? Well, the guy that I lived with, there were 2 NSA guys that I lived with. One was D, and the other was E. Okay, so D was my only contact, and he was supposed to give me the application. Well, he never gave me the application. He would never give me the announcement. He started eating my food. So the NSA chief just kept calling me on his blocked line. So are you going to apply? Why haven't you applied? I don't have the announcement. D says he gave it to you. No, he didn't. I don't have it. Where do I get it? And he tells me the NSA website. This guy is a super duper white hat computer hacker. He's got the best computers in the world. I don't even own a computer. This is almost pre-internet. I bought a computer finally, like the next year. And it was so expensive, and it was a Dell, and it was like $600 or $700, and in today's dollars, that's probably like $2,000 that I paid for that computer. And so I lived in that house for like a year or a year and a half with those guys, and I'm going to college the whole time, and I'm working, and this guy D will never give me the announcement. He won't tell me. I don't know where to find it. I don't know how to find it. I don't own a computer. I don't know where the NSA is. I had never heard of the NSA until that point, and the only thing I ever knew about the NSA at that point in my life was what they explained to me, and that the association with the CIA. Didn't even know about that. So he's constantly telling his boss that he's given me the announcement, and that I don't want it, and that I won't apply. And this guy, his boss, keeps calling me over and over and over. He's like, why don't you apply? How come you haven't applied? I'm like, I don't have the announcement. Where are you? I'll come right now and get the announcement from you. He won't do it. Everything is top secret with this guy. He calls me on a block line. He won't tell me his name. There's no way for me to call him back. I don't know where the NSA office is to go up there. And, it's pre-internet. there's a lot of things I don't know, and I think I wasn't that savvy. Then I tried to take off from work in the morning, so I could go get the announcement, and everybody was onto it. And they're like, no, you can't take off. We'll fire you if you take off. I mean, I had a lot of really bad people in my life. So this goes on. This ends up going on for years. Okay. And then I move out of that house, and then I'm going to school, and he's still calling me. There's an announcement, and now my father's gang is involved. And every time I try to apply, they attack me. Okay. And so it gets to the point where the security chief is inviting me to their church. I go to this different church in Bethesda. They go to a church over there in Beltsville or Columbia or something. And they all go to that church. They're all going to that church. And I'm like, yeah, I'll come. He invites me to the church, and I'm going to fill it out right there. We're going to take it to the post office. We're going to get this sucker mailed in and get this finally worked out. This has been like 3 years already. And so at this point, Gigi Treson and my father's gang are monitoring my phone. Now, what's going on in my head is, how are they able to do this? They had to either do this. Now, Gigi is a DEA agent. So she either had to run it through the DEA to mirror my phone, because they had to be recording it, because I don't think she just is catching all my phone calls. She's got this phone next to her. My phone rings, her phone rings, and she listens. They know everything. They know the exact dates, the exact times. They know everything. So maybe it ran through D at the NSA. So the guy who's my single point of contact is screwing me over so bad, he's got my phone tapped so that my father's gang can be on me all the time. So every time I would try to go to his church, Gigi would come and kidnap me with a local dirty cop, her and a dirty cop, at least one, usually two. And they've just got their guns on me, and they're going to take me to my church, and they're going to hold me hostage there until it's too late. And they keep doing this, and then they'll attack me, they'll rape me, they'll try to shoot me, they'll try to falsely arrest me. And if they falsely arrest me, if I get in that car in handcuffs, that's how all of the victims died. They were all put in a marked police car and then never seen again. And every time she says to the local cop in the uniform, she says, "You're going to let me take him, right?" Like they're going to kill me, obviously. So, I mean, it's really stressful. And so in my mind, I make the association, I can't help it. Every time this NSA guy calls me, there's multiple attempts on my life, and I'm kidnapped and raped, and they try to shoot me, and they try to falsely arrest me. All this violence, every time this guy calls me, there's tremendous violence, kidnapping, rape. They try to shoot me. They try to stuff me in the back of a car and falsely arrest me. That leads to traumatic amnesia. And so I have a lot of trouble when there's violence. I have trouble remembering short-term events, not long-term events, but short-term events. And this guy won't tell me his name. There's no way to contact him. And my only contact is D. And D is a D. He's a D. Okay, so fast forward 8 years. So at church, there's a guy who works for the Secret Service. He's a uniformed officer, Secret Service. He's posted at the White House. Great job. Now, his boss starts calling me and says, you can be a Secret Service agent. I'm like, fantastic. And he basically is offering me the same deal, okay, because he knows about my top scores. He knows all this stuff. He even mentioned the warrant, and the warrant, I think, the warrant's already gone. Okay, I already took care of the warrant by cursing those fuckers, and they all got cancer. And actually, Shem Steinberg told me in 2010 that he never would have took the fake warrant off of me just to ruin my life. It's actually the lawyer who died. He died first, and he took the warrant off of me. So this goes on for years, and it's 8 years. So now we're going through this with the Secret Service. His boss keeps calling me, and every time he calls me, I scream at him. I say, "Come get me. Come pick me up. I'm going to fill out the application while you guard me at gunpoint, because I can't get away from them." Because literally every time this guy calls, Gigi and her dirty cops, they swarm on me and they attack me and they start trying to shoot me and stuff me in the car. It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. And I don't know if many other people have experienced this. So anyway, one time, because every time he calls me, I just scream at him nonstop, "Come over here. Get over here right now." Like that. I mean, because I'm about to be attacked. They attack me in my apartment. They attack me at work. They attack me on the way to work. They attack me anywhere. So one time he agreed he's going to come with another Secret Service agent and to my apartment, and I'm going to fill out the thing in front of him because I was finally able to file half of it online, and then they busted in my door. Literally, they busted in my door and attacked me at gunpoint in my apartment. I'm just trying to fill out a job application. That's how on me they are. And I can't fill it out at work because even if I receive a phone call at work, they attack me. So him and another agent were going to come to my apartment. So they kidnapped me out of my apartment half an hour before they came. They took me, they crossed the state line, took me to Maryland, took me to an apartment, stripped me naked, took my glasses, took my keys, and took my phone. Okay, can you say Jeffrey Dahmer? I can, because that's exactly what they're up to. So finally, I start fighting them and I get away from them and I run stark naked through this apartment to the front desk. I'm completely naked. And I say, call the police. And I called the police and I reported that I was kidnapped and being raped and I had no clothes. Okay, so I also called this Secret Service guy and I told him where I am, and because I'm upset, I'm screaming at him, which he doesn't like. You have to treat him like a baby or something. Okay, so he shows up. The Secret Service guy who was going to meet me at my apartment. Now they forced me. They came out with my clothes. She shoves my clothes at me, and at gunpoint, they forced me to put on my clothes in the lobby before the police come. So I'm about half dressed by the time the police come. Okay, and Gigi's got her gun on me, and the other girl has a big knife, and then she hides the knife, but they're girls. Okay, and because Gigi is law enforcement, and no one would tell me this. I did not know Gigi was associated with law enforcement until I was 55 last year. She attacked me for 40 years with that gun. I didn't know until last year. Okay, and I've had cops swear to me in writing that she has no association with law enforcement. I've had a dozen cops tell me straight to my face that she is not police. And I say, then arrest her. She's got a gun. She just attacked me. She just tried to murder me. Arrest her. They never would. Okay, so Gigi, who did the whole thing, she says, no, it's rough sex, and he enjoyed it. And then the Secret Service guys, they laugh like it's funny. I've been kidnapped. I was stripped naked. They took my keys, my glasses. This is exactly how Jeffrey Dahmer was not caught. A little Asian kid ran out of his apartment stark naked and ran up to the police, and the police decided it was rough sex. Are you kidding me? They didn't even help me then. And I'm like, I was so mad at them. I was so mad at this Secret Service guy. So finally, after this, he would call me and I would say, suck my D. F you, suck my D. Get your fat ass over here and guard me right now. And he never would. So I stopped applying for that. And this is 10 years later. The NSA, as soon as I stopped applying for the Secret Service job, okay, which was a shoo-in. All I had to do was apply, and I had the job, and I couldn't get the application out because that's how on me they were. I literally had to flee and leave the state and, let my job say, oh, we're planning to fire you, and then file the application, and then come back and try to work it out after they fake fired me. That's what I would have had to do. And they would have been hunting me the whole time. They would have called every police resource in the fucking world to find me and get to me before I could file that application, because that's what they were doing. That's how bad it was. So as soon as I stopped applying for this Secret Service job, the NSA guy calls me on my work phone. Okay, this is 3 jobs later. I'm 3 federal agencies later. How does he know my number? This guy knows everything. And he was tracking me the whole time. Okay, and I'm leading up to, how did I end up breaking this guy's back? So I say to him, he says, do you want the job? And I'm like I never, like I didn't want the job. That's how come I don't have this job. Okay, with this guy. I'm like, of course I want this job. And I say the same thing to him as I say to the Secret Service guy. I'm like, come over here right now and guard me, and I'm going to walk out the door with you. I'm going to quit my job today. I'm going to walk right out the door with you, but bring your gun and bring cops. Okay, and I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to walk out the door with you. I'm going to file it right in front of you. So as soon as I hung up the phone and I said, I'm going to stay in my office and I'm not going to move. Okay, I'm not moving from this spot. If someone knocks on the door, I'm just going to pretend I don't know. So within 3 minutes, the 4 guys, my boss, the security chief who had a gun, this guard 6'2", 320D. He was actually a pretty nice guy, but they're like Nazi prison guards. I have to do it. It's my job. Okay, Nazi prison guard D. Gigi Treson. So 4 people, 3 with guns and 1 with a large knife. And they came and felony extracted me out of my office. They opened the door with a key and they just jumped on me and they tried to shoot me and they grabbed me. And I fought a little bit because if I fight, it's going to be for real, man. I'm going to break your back maybe. Okay, because I did end up fighting them and I beat the shit out of all 6 of them. And I broke one guy's back. And my boss, I almost broke his back. He was so upset about how badly I beat his ass that he wanted to file charges against me. Why didn't I file charges against them? Because everything they did was illegal. Because I literally couldn't get out of the building without being killed. That's how on me they were. There were at least 3 people on tasked to keep me contained at all times. I couldn't even quit my job. Okay, that's how on me they were. Okay, so I'm being held hostage in my boss's office, and they try to take my phone. They try to strip me naked, but I'm like, you're not going to do it, and I headbutt them and I punch them in the face, and they're like, oh, you can't do that, and then I punch them again. They did manage to get my phone, so I'm being held hostage in my boss's office by 3 men with guns at gunpoint. And then I finally hear them around. I hear the NSA guy. He comes, and I start calling out. I said, I'm in here. Come get me. I'm in here. They're holding me hostage. So he comes in. But it's such a weird situation because he's talking to the cops and he's talking directly to Gigi Treson, who's doing all of this. And they're whispering together. And they decide they're going to hold me. The NSA guy says, hold him. And so they're holding both of my hands. There's 4 or 5 people holding on to me, like they're holding on to me, like holding me, like stopping me from attacking him. Okay. And so this guy, the NSA chief, he keeps getting in my face and screaming at me. And this is not the first time this happened. This happened other times. It's all like scripted. But he starts getting in my face and screaming at me. So you don't want the job? And just screaming at me like a drill instructor. Okay. And I'm like, what are you, stupid? Are you on drugs? I called you to come save me. Okay. And I'm being held hostage and they took my phone and I'm here at gunpoint in another office. He just keeps getting in my face and screaming at me like I'm the a-hole. Okay. So the 3rd time he gets in my face, I've had enough. And I just headbutt him right in the middle of the nose, right on the bridge of the nose. And his nose opens up and he just starts bleeding. I get a lot of satisfaction. I've headbutted about 1,000 people at this point. And he's bleeding, but he gets right back in my face. I say, you better get out of my face. And he doesn't get out of my face. I headbutted him again. Okay. And this time he gets knocked back a little bit. But he's going to get in my face again. He's like a freaking bulldog. He's 350, 375 pounds. He thinks he can take me. He's a couple years older than me. Okay, I'm 140 pounds. He's 375. He comes to get back in my face. And he's like, I'm the a-hole. So I kick him in the chest twice. Back off. He's going to come again. And so this time, I get my hand loose and I do the Matrix. I'm like, come on, you want to get in my face? You want to yell at me some more? Come and get in my face. So, because now I'm going to fight you. And so he got in my face again because he's 3 times my size. He thought he could beat my ass. And so I headbutted him again. I elbowed both sides. Okay. My arms were being held, like that's going to do it. And on one side was Gigi Treson. She ducked and dived. And I grazed her. I didn't get her properly. And they acted like I was killing her. Oh my God, that's a woman. And then the other guy was my boss. I got him right flat on the bridge of the nose and he started bleeding. So I got my arms free and the NSA guy is still yelling at me like this is all my fault. And so I just step up. I headbutted him again. I punched him in the face 8 to 12 times. He went down. He didn't stay down. He got back up. So I punched him in the face some more, headbutted him again, kicked him in the chest, knocked him against the wall, all 375 pounds of it. And he went down again. He got up. This is the 3rd time he got up. Big mistake, buddy. So this time I headbutted him again and I kicked his legs out because he grabbed me. Now, since he's so much bigger than me, his advantage is to grab me and lay on me. Because if he lays on me, I'm fast and I move. But if he lays on me, I could be a dead man. There's 6 people in the room with guns. He grabs me. As soon as he grabs me, I step to the side and I kicked his legs out from under him, which is one of my favorite moves. I do that a lot. But he's 375 pounds. He hits the ground with his butt really, really, really hard. He probably broke his back right then. But he gets up anyway because he wants to fight. So I headbutted him again and kicked his legs out again. And he didn't get up this time. I actually broke his back, and I didn't know, and he didn't know. And every time I saw him after that, he was in a wheelchair. Then all the rest of them. Now, the big guy, Daryl, I don't think he was afraid. He just stepped out. He didn't want to fight with me because he didn't want to be involved in this. So Gigi and my boss, I ended up beating the crap out of my boss. This is my boss. I punched him in the face 8 or 10 times. I headbutted him 2, 3 times. He crumpled up like a ball, like throwing a piece of paper away. And then he popped his head up and I hammer fisted him on his clavicle, on the clavicle. That's a move to terrify your opponent. And that was it. That was it for him. And I kicked his legs out. So he also went down real hard. I think I injured his spine, and that was it. I beat the crap out of all of them, except for D. He stepped out. The really big guy, he stepped out. He didn't want to mess with me, and I think he just didn't want to fight. He wasn't afraid of me or anything. He just didn't want to be a part of it. So why didn't they press charges against me? Well, they all tried. They're all cops, all dirty cops, okay, except for my boss, and they're all, connected to the dirty cops. They all wanted to press charges against me, but it was all on film, and everything they did was so freaking illegal. Why didn't I press charges against them? I tried. I couldn't get away from them. I can't even make a phone call. I couldn't quit my job. They timed my commute, and if I was 1 minute late, sometimes I would escape and go somewhere else to try to file these applications. If I was 1 minute late, they would send out every cop in the whole world to go find me. I couldn't get to the police station. I couldn't call the police because only the dirty cops would come to my work and to my home. Gigi controlled all that, and I had to get to the police station, and I couldn't get to the police station. I had to physically get to the police station, and it was a crapshoot. If the dirty cops got there before I filed the charges, they would definitely come there, and Gigi would definitely come there, and it would be a problem anyway. So, it was almost hopeless. So that's why I didn't file, but everything they did was absolutely illegal, and so they couldn't reveal what they had done. So this guy actually had his spine broken because he wouldn't do right. So if you're listening, Mr. NSA man, on the one hand, you tried to help me, but on the other hand, you colluded with these criminals very actively. Okay, do what you say. I want the trust document and the will, and make this right. Make this right, and let's put Gigi, the woman I call Gigi, in jail, and maybe some of these other people, and God will heal you. And that's my message for you. If you like the video, please like, share, subscribe, and comment.